Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to your weekly Monday afternoon edition of Educational Insights with me, your host Mualima Mariam Mia. And yes, we all heard the news last week, Thursday, that the lockdown has been extended for another 2 weeks. That means uh, home learning or e-learning is continuing for another 2 weeks. I think it was with mixed feeling that many parents received the news because, yes, this has been the first time, I think, in our history that families have been locked down at home for this duration. As we spoke last week with Sister Anisa Musa from K-Line, that in December, if you're doing a staycation, you're not locked in your home. So daily activities are planned. You visit new places, you do a staycation, explore your city, the surrounding neighborhoods, or maybe drive out a little to maybe like a dam, like Hatapiaspa Dam or Val Dam, or if you're down in the coastal areas, you visit another beach in probably another town. So it's all, even though it's a staycation, you might be at home during the vacations, you're still going out, you're going for family outings. This has been no outings at all. So we're bonding at home in our home environment, and then educational journey must go on. So as we navigate these uncharted times, what's going to be it's our resilience, it's our resilience, our ability to improvise, as well as our ability to adapt, and our faith that is going to get us through this situation, inshallah. And it's about this resilience, adaptation, and improvisation that is going to assist us as we accompany our children in the educational journey. So remember, parents, I always say parents are the primary educators. You are the first educator for your child, responsible to lead them towards responsible adulthood. And that is our responsibility. Yes, educators are there as your co-facilitators in this educational journey. You have now been given an opportunity to become, you've been given this opportunity to become a co-facilitator. And maybe, in fact, the primary instructor in most cases as well. So parents, I think, more than we need to change our mindsets. More than seeing this, I know it's getting frustrating at home. You having the children all the time. There is no breakaway, but that is important. That is why we need, in a home environment, we need to develop a routine and a structure at home, and create the opportunity for life skills, because it's important now on the life skills. This is a time where all life skills in terms of time management, ability to study, ability to stay focused, getting our children to be responsible for their actions, responsible for their possessions, taking the responsibility for their own learning deadlines, to follow learning content, to get focused for their online learning. These are the skills now that we didn't have time to then going to school, parents at work, other commitments. There was just lack of time. This is a time that we need to capitalize on all those little loopholes in terms of life skills that we always mean well to inculcate in our children, but we don't have that opportunity. This is a time we need to embrace this and look at this as a silver lining for us to have this opportunity to really guide our children in terms of their responsibility, and increase their skills base. Even simple thing like filling in forms, allow them to assist you in terms of whatever forms you may be. Make them part, include them in the decision making. Yes, because the lockdown has been extended by 2 weeks, everybody has to now evaluate your finances, the way we spend, the way we consume food and other essentials in it. And now it's a time to budget. So whatever you are, even if Alhamdulillah, you've been blessed, you're in a comfortable position, now it's the time that you really need to budget. And more so being budgeted, it's a time for us to be global citizens, global volunteers. It's a time for us to serve humanity. So the extra that we manage to save, how can we help our fellow neighbor, the community shelters? How can we assist community organizations, NGOs, NPOs? Include them. This is all life skill education. Include them. Make the family budget, make the grocery budget, the essential budget, the basic essential budget. Allow them to see, right, what can we do? How much extra funding we have in terms of providing some grocery and relief here, because that is what EMS, economic science management, is. This is it's taking charge. So tell him, I'm giving you X amount of money, you an entrepreneur. Let's see what you can do here. Let's see how we can serve humanity. So these are the skills. It is not about making a classroom and just focusing on learning content, making sure that they meet their learning requirements, learning content. Use this as an opportunity as well. And talking about e-learning, we'll get back to the topic after the break, but talking about e-learning, it's easier said than done. There's a young graduate, architect graduate from University of Johannesburg, Sister Misba Khan, and she wrote a wonderful article on e-learning, but is it a viable option due to internet connectivity as well as the price, the high cost of data in South Africa? So let me welcome Sister Misba. I am told she's on hold, so I just want to welcome Misba on a Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Misba, welcome to Educational Insights.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's a pleasure to be speaking to you. Jazakallah khairan for the opportunity.
Okay, yeah, we can see Misba loud and clear. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Educational Insights, Sister Misba.
Jazakallah, Jazakallah.
Thank you, Sister Misba. I just want to get my engineer. I just to sort out sound on my side here. Okay, we've got Ziad here. We just sorting out sound. I trust that you are doing well during lockdown. Are you working from home?
Gee, Alhamdulillah. No, unfortunately, as an architectural graduate, I am yet to.
Okay, so while I got Ziad here, busy sorting out all the technical things, because I am technically challenged and I need guidance in this. I think, let me just see if I got Sister Misba. Can you hear me?
1 second. Can you hear me?
Let me just see. I'm just getting, Sister. We're just sorting out here. But in the meantime, I want to read out the article that Sister Misba has written. She says, as the South African government continues its ongoing efforts to minimize the potential effects of the corona pandemic by implementing strict measures such as social distancing, educational institutions and universities are looking for alternate methods to continue with formal teaching and learning through online distance learning. In recent communique to all its students on the 3rd of April 2020, the University of Johannesburg took the decision to move all forms of teaching and learning to online portals for the remainder of the semester. So that semester ends in June, regardless of the duration of the lockdown, and in doing so has become the first university in South Africa to implement such stringent measures. We are yet to see whether other tertiary educational institutions will follow suit. Despite the various benefits of e-learning, however, there are multiple concerns as to how this decision would impact students who do not have access to a stable internet connection, which would be crucial in order for them to complete their study program. This would be of a concern This would be less of a concern in a developed country where internet is easily accessible to the population. However, as a developing nation, South Africa still has many obstacles to overcome when it comes to providing an affordable, stable, and easily accessible internet connection to its citizens. South Africa's data prices are also exorbitant compared to those of most other countries. In fact, according to a survey, South Africa has the most expensive internet prices in the world. A simple Google search can confirm this, so go ahead and try this out. A reason for this is due to South Africa's lack of internet providers. So, as the world moves quickly to 5G speeds, South Africa will still continue to suffer greatly from slow internet speeds and a lack of widespread coverage. Telecommunication infrastructure is still developing, and it would easily take many more years before the internet quality and accessibility in our country becomes of a reputable quality. So then Sister Misbah goes on to say the University of Johannesburg has tried to make this difficult situation easier for its students by working closely with a telecommunication provider and making UJ websites zero rated. This means that no data charges will be applied when students access these websites. While this is certainly a nod in the right direction, when it comes to making online learning more accessible to its students, there are still many loopholes that one cannot overlook. This plan would certainly make accessing the internet easier, but for that one, but for that one has to be in the area that has good internet coverage. Students that reside in areas with a lack of internet connectivity or slower internet speeds would still be disproportionately affected. Another factor to consider would be that in order to work well and efficiently from home, students need to access other web portals as well, such as Google and Zoom, that would require data. Hence, data charges would be applied, which might be difficult for many to pay, particularly in this time of economic crisis when income sources of many families are currently on hold. While there doesn't seem to be a cure to the COVID 19 pandemic on the horizon, universities need to be more considerate and understanding of these difficulties and challenges that the students may face while trying to achieve academic progress in these trying conditions. Universities may also work closely with telecommunication providers and attempt to make accessing the internet zero rated for other crucial websites as well. Time will tell how greatly this lockdown will affect most vulnerable of all students. So this is a very thought. Is it better? I just want to switch microphone. Sorry, Mishta, can I hear you now? Can you hear me?
Assalamu alaikum. I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, welcome, Misbah. So I'm glad I
Alhamdulillah.
got to read the article while we were sorting out the technical difficulties. This is a very thought provoking article. And while I was reading this, besides the financial constraints of data, as you say, you
Gee,
might have. I was looking at parents also, so this can be then transferred to schooling situation, primary school learners, secondary school learners as well. And I was looking that maybe you might have the resources in terms of the finances to pay data costs or Wi-Fi, but you might be living in an area where you just don't have a good download and upload speed. And that also is a challenge in itself. So that's another constraint also to factor in.
gee, most definitely. A lot of South African citizens, even in today's day and age, don't have good internet speeds. With our data providers unable to reach all our communities. Um, Urban areas, especially, have much better internet connections as compared to the more suburban or rural areas in our country. And unfortunately, even if you do have the resources to be able to educate your child at home, it would be difficult to with the way our internet connections work in our country.
Yes, I'm just thinking, you said urban area, so let's look at down the road from Salamia Studios, an area like
Gee,
Mayfair, and I know my husband has a business there, and he does a lot of technical related work, and for that he needs a good, reliable internet, and he often struggles because there's no fiber in that area, and even with
gee.
the LTE, we also at the mercy of getting a good signal. We've put in boosters and things like that. I've got a colleague sister, Nafisa Dengo, and she can't do her Be Live because she also struggles with internet connectivity. So, what is the solution? Interim during the pandemic, what, which way do we go in terms of it's very easy. Everybody's doing online learning, whether
Gee.
it's Zoom, Loom, Skype, whatever. But any suggestions on your side in terms of the short term?
That's actually a very difficult question to answer because as a country, as South Africa, we still need to make a lot of progress in terms of infrastructure, telecommunications infrastructure. But a short-term solution, I think, to this would be to be a bit more lenient to students. Perhaps we could start emailing out their study material, or perhaps even sending it through the post or something where they could access it better without needing the internet completely in order to complete their studies. So instead of studying live on the internet or having live chat rooms on Zoom, you could study via emails perhaps, or the postal system, or perhaps where there is more time given to the students to be able to actually access and work with their study materials from home.
Yes, and I'm just thinking for those parents who are also trying to now create some sort of structure in seeing that learning content has been consolidated, understood, comprehended as well. I think it's
Gee,
important because online, not everybody at that time might be able to, for whatever reason, to be in
exactly.
that Zoom meeting, so
Gee,
Zoom classroom. I mean,
gee,
a child might be even just feeling sick for the day or ill, or a parent, there might be only one laptop that that is available at home, or two, and both parents are using it at that time, and they've got urgent deadlines to meet, and there might not be an extra laptop available at this time here. And I think it's important, while online learning is the buzzword and everybody you connect with and you having chats with them, everybody is now is zooming. I think this is another new word
gee.
that would be added to the dictionary, will be zooming. So everybody
Zooming.
is zooming currently. But I think at the same time, advice to parents will be, please keep in contact with your educators, with the school HOD, with the principals as well. And it's not that your if your kids are not in the Zoom lesson, it's not that because they're not responsible or they're not focused or something like
Exactly,
that. There
exactly.
could be another fundamental reason. So I think we need to look at the plan B, or supplement the Zoom lessons. Like you say, old
Gee,
fashioned email
exactly.
would work. I know all the most delivery companies are now, like your courier companies, are available, and maybe just that would be another
Gee.
option to do this, to courier the material to the
Gee,
learners and have it
definitely.
courier. Look, in my own personal experience, I educate 4-year old learners, and Zoom
Gee,
is not an option for them because they're still in the developmental years and they don't have that ability to focus. And also, at the my ethos is, I my approach is according to each child's temperament and personality. So Zoom is a one for all mix. So I won't be able to connect with them like this. So that's why I've resorted to videos. So I do about
gee,
10-minute
gee.
segment of videos, and then the parents can upload it at their time when connectivity is good, and then the children see it when they are focused and ready and also receptive to learning. Because I think the other thing also, what is overwhelming even university students, especially I look at the first year students. If you look at it, Sister Misba, not long ago you were a freshman in what they say in
Gee,
America, freshman, and come lockdown was 27 March. You were just a month and a half into your academic year. Many first year students are just finding their feet, finding
gee,
university life, the
exactly.
responsibility of university life. There's no teacher to check you whether you've done your assignments and things, or nobody to oversee you or hovering over you. But yet, if it's not handed in on time, or it's not that, you're not going to get your DP to write your examination, or required amounts for entry into examination. And then this happens. So
Gee.
I'm sure they're all feeling overwhelmed.
I'm sure, I'm sure. In fact, I was just speaking to some of my colleagues who are still in university, and even at third year level, they find it difficult to still actually be able to follow up with whatever work they have to do for the university and in order to complete the academic courses. It's just overall difficult to stay at home, to be connected all the time using Zoom, be on live chats, to connect with your lecturers and still get all of your work done. I mean, there's other challenges that you have to overcome while working at home as well. For instance, I'm sure we all have responsibilities. Some people live in households where they have to look after, for example, their younger siblings, or household duties or other stuff, and it just might not be the appropriate studying and learning environment for them. It's extremely difficult. And also to navigate the internet and to understand how all of these programs work and then to implement it into your study material, it's definitely difficult.
I'm glad you raised that because I, for one, when the whole lockdown happened, and then for a while we elected. Well, we had our challenges at Salam Media because first we took a decision that we'll do all our broadcasts would be live. And then I
Gee.
remember my first broadcast from home was, an, let's just say it was a bit of a disaster because I planned for
Gee.
this for 5 days before would be live. And on that day, even though I have fiber and good upload speed, there was so much traffic on the internet that I
Gee,
just did not have
exactly.
good connectivity. And then I had an online educator coming to do a tutorial, and he had a problem with connectivity. And also, I am technologically challenged, so I'm not familiar.
Gee.
In like 3 days, I had to download Zoom. I had to learn about Be Live. I learned about another application called Loom, and that. But like you say, even those that are tech savvy, because we never had the need for this technology, we still getting used to using this technology, applying this technology. And in the meantime, if you're not up to speed, you're losing out. And it seems, although we're in lockdown, the world is moving on. So it's not, those lockdown, somehow it's an enigma in the sense that lockdown equates to chilling and
Mm,
just
mm,
being
mm.
relaxed and that. But in my experience, for many households, it's been anything but that because of the uncertainty of this world. It still feels surreal. It's like we're living in a surreal time, like you're going to wake up and life is going to go back to as we know it. And yet every morning we wake up and this is the reality.
Exactly, exactly. In fact, I was just speaking to a colleague this morning, and he mentioned that working from home almost seems like you are constantly working. There's no formal time to wake up, go to work, and then come back home, and you're done with the day. It almost seems like you are just constantly at work. It's just not an environment that's friendly to continue with your working and your general professional lives. And the same for students. It would almost seem like they're constantly at university and like constantly meeting their deadlines. It's just difficult.
Yes, so I'm so glad we're having this conversation and putting, because the buzzword I think for this past week was everything is online, everything is Zoom, everything is Skype, conference calls, video calls, and we didn't factor in the challenges as well as, besides the constraints with telecommunication challenges, the mindset and the psychological challenges in terms and the pressure that
Mm,
all
mm, mm, precisely.
students, whether you're 4 year old or you're 24 year old, everybody is feeling this pressure to meet the deadline, and we feel if we don't capitalize on this time, when we come back, we're going to be left out. And I think this is an appeal to all educational institutions, whether it's from pre-primary to tertiary educational institutions, to say, you know what, give a step back in your program. Then you need to factor in that everybody may not have comprehended, consolidated, or mastered the learning skills required, or even the material sent through. And also in terms of assessments, maybe we have to re-look at how we are going to assess. Maybe a different type of, or a different format of assessments, or maybe even
Mm-hmm.
a delayed assessments. But yes, we need to improvise, adapt, and get creative here. And I think the way we were assessing, maybe look at a different method of assessing, or even a different benchmark in our assessment structure. I'm not saying lowering standards, I'm just saying
Mm-mm-mm.
look at another way of assessment and factor this
Exactly.
in terms of that, and maybe just lessen the load. Or maybe also for this time year, under circumstances, we have to re-look at the whole curricula or syllabus for the year to say, you know what, is this is absolutely necessary for somebody to progress from first year or second year in their studies. So for example, you an architecture student, then the faculty of architecture needs to look at and say, okay, you know what, this was just history of architecture and a bit of contextual information, so the students can just read but not necessarily have to be assessed. But
Mm-hmm.
this is important, and this practical is important because this is the aspect that you need to build on and take into second year and third year. Same with school. I mean, there's certain things that you won't need it after this
Mm.
year's assessment, so maybe just look at and streamline the syllabus.
Mm. I'm glad you raised that concern. In fact, as far as assessments are concerned, the fact that because it's all e-learning and all the assessments are done online, all the tests essentially somewhat become open book. So the how effective are the assessment systems when literally all of the assessments that you will do will somewhat be open book, and you cannot go into a formal examination room. So this is a concern. Like, how effective then do your assessments be in terms of modules or fields of study that require one to be able to memorize their syllabus, for instance, and go into an examination room and write it? Like, how do we continue with these assessments in a way which is still effective and still means that the student has actually made progress throughout the term? Like, for instance, if you look at UNISA, the fact that UNISA is one of South Africa's leading online learning institutions, even their examinations, you have to go into designated examination centers in order to give your exams to show that you have actually studied and made progress. With online learning, how effective are these assessments? We definitely have to look at how these assessments can be made more effective, definitely.
Yes, and for those of you that have joined in the conversation or following the conversation on Facebook Live, please do send us a message and tell us if you're a university student. Let us know. Join in the conversation here on Educational Insights on Salam Media. I'm speaking to Sister Misba Khan. She wrote a very thought-provoking article, almost played devil's advocate because everybody was talking about the buzzword online, 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 and we got so caught up, like as if you were not online or your educational institution was not online, then really you are in an obsolete institution or you have so has been institution, and yet if you are online, then that's the place to be. But we didn't factor in the pitfalls of online, beside the connectivity, telecommunication constraints, financial constraints, as well as the psychological effects in terms of being overwhelmed, in terms of the pressure of comprehending and understanding this. Also, you in a Zoom meeting as a student, I'm thinking of like a grade 8, grade 9 learner, and your educator is facilitating the lesson, introducing learning content. If you don't understand it, I mean, it's going to affect your confidence to then stop the chat dead in the middle, and then the whole focus. And with Zoom, then everything is just focused on you, and everybody's looking at you, and then asking, please, can you re-explain this? It's difficult. We haven't yet had that counseling and courage to do something like this, and especially when you are online in a university lecture situation, you have many students like this. You're just going to go with the flow, and then later on figure out how am I going to get supplementary notes and things like that. So what online, any technology, comes a responsibility in terms of having supplementary and complementary support systems, and that's why this is a brilliant, thought-provoking article. And also, I think the important thing is education is a partnership, and at primary and secondary and pre-primary education, it's the parent, the child, and the educational institution. When you move to tertiary, your parents are still there, but it's more your relationship with your educational institution. So advice to learners, wherever you're studying, whether you're in a tertiary institution, secondary institution, I think you need to connect and communicate with your lecturers, with the faculty. If there is at any point you're feeling overwhelmed, for whatever reason you have not been able to meet deadlines, or you don't understand or comprehend learning outcomes, so even the lecture was there but you're not clear, I think you need to engage one-on-one. Send an email to the faculty, engage lecturers. Everybody's working from there. Send them. And another point is, when you're sending, don't be vague, be specific. So try and hone into specifics, exactly what part is causing you a problem, or what part has overwhelmed you, or where don't you understand. Will that be a way? I mean, I've been to university years ago, without giving up my age, but well, is that an effective way just to keep in contact with your lecturers and faculty?
No, definitely. It's literally the most effective way that I can think of to be able to communicate your concerns and your needs as a student and what you need in order to be able to complete your course. I think it's important to communicate to your lecturers that if you are unable to complete a certain task by a certain deadline or unable to be there for a specific examination, it's important that your lecturer knows your situation. And it's also important for lecturers themselves to be more lenient and teachers to be more lenient and understanding and to know that it's really difficult for students at this time to complete their studies and to focus on their schoolwork when the country is literally facing a state of disaster. It's so difficult. I think lecturers and teachers need to be more understanding, and students also need to communicate better, definitely.
Misbah, it's been fascinating. Uh, we really thank you for this thought-provoking article. And tell me, in you personally, are you working from home yourself?
Well, I just finished university last year, so I was traveling a little bit in January and Feb, and I was literally going to start looking for work this month. And to think that I'm now stuck at home with no companies hiring, it's difficult. But I'm doing journalism here and there for Salam Media, which is good. But otherwise, I'll find work inshallah soon. Make dua.
Definitely, and I mean, this article is a very, very well written article. So there's another field you can look into.
Ji, ji, inshallah.
That yeah, silver lining there. That there's always. That's why I say it's going to be a time for improvisation, adaptation, creativity, and resilience of the human spirit. All this accompanied by your faith and your belief in the Almighty. And I have no
Ji,
doubt with all these qualities and values you subscribe to, we will get through this. And I think it will make
inshallah.
us stronger in our character and in our fortitude. So, shukran, Misbah. This was a fascinating discussion. And
Jazakallah
inshallah,
so
hope to
much.
talk to you in the future with other thought provoking articles. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It was a pleasure speaking to you.